Bonnie, we've had a lot happening this morning. A whole lot happening here. 2 hours of a lot of fun. Folks, I want to take a brief minute here. First of all, Ada Street LLC versus Angie Arp, City of Blue Ridge there over the zoning. That is tomorrow, Councilwoman Angie Arp. That is tomorrow, that court hearing. And we will be there. It is definitely something we don't want to miss. Do you have, we've been talking about who lit this candle, okay? Who lit this candle with the Judge Brenda Weaver, publisher Mark Thomason, attorney Russell Stuckey, and B. Allison Sosby, the district attorney. We've been talking about that. And I want to briefly follow something here. And I want to stay focused on something. I want to ask a couple questions because this is going to be number 4. We want to keep this together, okay? I want to know where the stories are. And these are some questions I have, okay? First of all, my opinion is, and make sure because my opinion is that actually Fannin County Attorney Lynn Doss is the one that lit this candle all the way from day one from the N-word, okay? I went through yesterday, and I'll just say I went through yesterday and I was looking at old footage from debates and forums in an interview I did with Judge Roger Bradley. And as remember in that campaign against Robert Sneed, in 2012 or 2011, remember that campaign where Municipal Judge Robert Sneed ran against Superior Court Judge Roger Bradley. And Judge Bradley always referred to the special interest groups, And every time I asked Judge Bradley, who are the special interest groups, he'd say, I don't know, they don't invite me to the meetings, but, you know, the special interest groups. And there was a lot of talk about how the court, the Appalachian Judicial Circuit, how everybody got along. And now that Judge Doss was no longer on the circuit, you know, things were running quite smoothly. Those are the words and some of the comments that were taking place during that campaign. And there's a reason I'm going there. Judge Bradley would make reference that, you know, when we went to all the events during that, you know, Doss's campaign signs and Robert Sneed's campaign signs were together. So there was a lot of comments made that Lynn Doss and Harry Doss, this is just an observation, encouraged Robert Sneed, supported Robert Sneed, and pushed Robert Sneed to run against Judge Bradley. So a vendetta, which many in the North Georgia area know has been taking place in the judicial circuit, has been happening for quite some time. That being said, where are the stories? Now, I want to ask you a question. This is Judge Brenda Weaver has resigned from the JQC as the chair. All the accusations, the national stories, everything has come out. Where are the stories? Where are the front page stories about, you know, what they found in all the documents? Where is the smoking gun? Remember the hard push that Mark was putting on that operating account. Why was Thomason so interested in Judge Weaver's operating account? Now we're going to break this down even further throughout the days because I'm going to continue to work on this and put these segments up. But why was he pushing so hard for that operating account, Judge Weaver's operating account? When you see the expenses for the attorney for Clark & Clark were paid out of Roger Bradley's operating account, Superior Court Judge Robert Bradley's operating account. Why? Now, do you have that document 23? And that is the contingency expense. Now, the state of Georgia has you can go and find Georgia Code 15-14-6. And Georgia Code 15-14-6 deals with reimbursing and paying court reporters, okay? Now, the only thing I'm looking at, can you scroll that up a little bit? If you look at that, or down, I guess. Okay, you really can't read that on the screen, but I'll read it to you here. You may be able to read it. C. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but it says the contingent expense and travel allowance provided by this code section. Okay? Contingent expense and travel allowance provided by this code section shall be paid. And then, if you look, any person who is appointed court reporter for superior courts, more than one, there's contingent expense. Now, the reason I bring that up is it says a contingent expense and travel allowance. Now, the point I'm looking at, why did Judge Martha Christian, why did she not approve and give, I have a thought here, a theory, why did she not give attorney fees or award attorney fees for Rhonda Stubblefield? Why did she not? Why did she comment, not quoting her, that they were already paid? Why did she comment they were already paid? Why did she say that? Maybe one theory is, maybe Judge Martha Christian thought that, hey, it's a contingent expense. Something contingent expense is unexpected, an unexpected expense. Now, I'm not making a reason for paying, that will be up to somebody else. But the taxpayer money that everybody keeps talking about, that Brenda Weaver gave the green light to pay, maybe that's a contingent expense. Maybe Judge Martha Christian said it's a contingent expense. Maybe she found, this is my theory, maybe Judge Martha Christian found no reason to award legal fees. Now, how hard would it be for you to find her ruling, the summary of her ruling, Lonnie? Judge Martha Christian's ruling. Okay, if you could find that for me. So here's the thing. They go and ask for the legal expenses because Judge Martha Christian gave the green light to do that. To come back and ask. You see, Thomason lost the case that he brought that resulted in the taxpayers paying this bill. Where are the stories? What were they looking for in that operating account? What have they not been able to find? How come there's no front page stories? The only thing they could come up with was an accounting of the checks, and that's it. AJC hasn't written any stories on the illegally cashed checks. So what were they looking for? And who was pushing them to look? Because we're going to look later this week on Judge Harry Doss's operating account, because they won't give me that. I have asked all three, okay? I've asked all three CFOs of each county. I've asked Faye Harvey, Sandy Holden, and Rita Kirby. They have not responded. I plan to contact them today. I notified the Dosses that I was asking for the operating account. They let me know that Harry Doss, former judge, Superior Court Judge Harry Doss's operating account was not open record. Was an open record. But then, my understanding from Mark Thomason's emails, she was telling him, that's what Thomason said, that, hey, the county attorney says the operating accounts are open records. So right now I'm sitting, I want to look at Harry Doss's operating account, and I can't. Well, I can't see that. You're going to have to go over me so I can see it. Yes. Yes, that's the one I'm looking for. Lonnie sent me a message, wanting to know. He pushes it all around the screen. I can't tell. But I can't get Harry Doss's operating account. Because, see, there's a lot of things that former district attorney brought up in the debate that I watched yesterday. Scroll up on that a little bit, Lonnie. All right, remember this in conclusion, okay? The court must decide the case on admissible evidence and not on erroneous innuendo, speculation, gossip, so on and so forth. Remember that? The court records are not subject to Open Records Act by the Uniform Court Rule 21. The audio and transcript must be made available for public inspection. Okay. The certified transcript on March 16th, 2015 hearing of the state of Georgia versus Vivian is presumed to be true, complete, correct record of the transpired during the hearing, and the court finds the petition has been rebutted, or whatever, that presumption. Rebutted that presumption, therefore petitioner's complaint is hereby denied. So, it was denied. But when Rhonda Stubblefield was sitting in the courtroom that day when the N-word was said, and when Rhonda Stubblefield was doing her job for Roger Bradley, Superior Court Roger Bradley, she did not realize that there may be a contingent expense on that day. There may be an unexpected expense that day as she did her job, as the judge says she did accurately. Maybe that's what happened. The issues raised by respondents' counterclaim and motion for attorney's fees raised for future determination by the case. Okay? So the only thing I'm saying is the attorney's fees, that was left open. Judge Christian said, hey, you can come back and ask for the attorney's fees. But you know what? Judge Brenda Weaver approved those in a letter to be used out of Judge Bradley's operating account as a contingent expense. That may be the issue. Maybe it was a contingent expense is the reason when Clark and Clark went back and says, Your Honor, we want to get the fees. Judge says you've already been paid. Now, somebody might say, hey, well, why didn't the judge give the fees back? Maybe the judge felt that the rule on court reporters had been filled by a contingent expense. Maybe. Maybe that's what Judge Christian thought that day. Maybe Judge Christian thought that Judge Weaver was well within her right to approve that payment. You see, recapping for those that have not watched this and hard to follow along, you got to go to 1, 2, 3, 4. Judge Weaver sent a letter to all three chairmen of the three counties in the Appalachian Judicial Circuit and said that she approved or approved payment. It was making them aware of these legal expenses for Rhonda Stubblefield in this case because it was denied. It wasn't settled. See, it would be different if it was a settlement. You see what I mean? Thomason came that he wanted the open records because all settlements. But you remember Judge Weaver said in the letter it was not a settlement. There was no settlement. There was a defined number. It wasn't settlement. The attorney fee was such. We've seen all the transcripts, what it would cost. So Thomason was denied. There was no settlement here. She did not make a deal. Stubblefield did not make a deal with Thomason. You drop your case, I'll drop mine, and Judge Christian. It was denied. But Judge Christian left the door open for attorney's fees. Now, I'm going to give you the last little bit on the attorney's fees. Here's my thought. Stubblefield dropped her case based on there was no liquidity in that she could find of Mark Thomason to go after him. Her thought process is, I win this case for $1.2 million or whatever it is, and I get a piece of paper. That's all I get, is a piece of paper, okay? So she drops that case, all right? This is all presented, and Judge Christian knows this. It's there, okay? So maybe Judge Christian knows that if these fees are not paid but in a contingent manner out of a fund, and let's say Mary Beth Priest, let's say Judge Weaver did not pay those expenses, and Mary Beth Priest would have went back to court and she would have got awarded those funds. Maybe Judge Christian knew there was nothing to get. And that wasn't her place to do that, but maybe she thought, hey, you'll be forever. You'll get a piece of paper. You're never going to get the funds back from him. Maybe that's what she thought. I don't know. Maybe he has money, I don't know it. But here's my thought on the contingent matter. My thought is that Judge Christian knew the law. She knew Judge Weaver may have been. This is just my thought of what may have been. I'm not saying it is. It's going to be up to somebody else to determine. Maybe Judge Christian knew the law. Maybe Judge Christian knew Code 1514-6 very well. Maybe Judge Christian considered this a contingent expense, being she denied Thomason's unexpected expense to this court reporter, this frivolous lawsuit. And maybe she knew that there was no reason to award the fees because it fell under a different category. Maybe she knew that. Maybe she did. Because I tell you what, if it didn't, she could have awarded the fees anyhow, and it could have went back to the citizens. So there's a lot to see here on whether, it'll be up to somebody else to decide whether Judge Weaver, Brenda Weaver, could legally pay those in the operating account. That's okay. That's possible. But the contingent expense, the unexpected expense of that court reporter that day may be within the rules to pay. Maybe. We'll see. But let me tell you this. Stay focused on the operating account and Judge Bradley's operating account. And then go pull the reasons why Harry Doss, Judge Harry Doss, former Superior Court judge, left the bench and resigned. The accusations of what he spent in an operating account. What he did. The accusations of buying propane, the accusations of buying laptops, the accusations of having 5 debit cards in one operating account. Okay? The accusations of a debit card was compromised supposedly at Dollywood. All these accusations of that operating account. Let me tell you something. Operating account for the Doss, I'd like to see it. I'd like to see every single check of that operating account, because I'm going to tell you this. When that letter came through from Brenda Weaver that she was approving the legal expenses paid out of that operating account, Don't you think for 1 minute that Lynn Doss didn't think, I don't think she could do this. See, who pushed this case all along from the N-word? Because I remember who Lynn Doss called, and that was me. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office, North Georgia's only live online morning show. Wonder if I can get that open records. Hey, you remember when Scott Kiker said he would be probate judge, full-time probate judge for Fannin County? You remember when that happened? He said, I will be a full-time probate judge. And I was just wondering, I was thinking somebody must have asked him what he was going to do with his cases. If he became probate judge, Scott Kiker, what he was going to do with his cases. Somebody must have asked that question. And then I was looking at interviews, and I looked at an interview I did with Scott Kiker in 2011. And he was a candidate for probate judge. And I asked him, by the way, I said, what will you do with those cases? And I think we've got the video of Scott Kiker saying he wouldn't take any new cases. No new cases. That's what my thought is. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office, North Georgia's only live online morning show. Stay tuned for the Scott Farrell Show. Scott Farrell right now at 10 o'clock after these brief messages. I'm your host. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. I'm out.